to be published on January 15, 2021, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet, The Record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised that this meeting is being taped and may be broadcasted on local TV and the district's website at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines the word meeting as any gathering, whether corporal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Could we please have roll call?
You're muted.
Ms. Byers-King?
Here.
Ms. Cho?
Here.
Ms. Han Silver?
Here.
Ms. Morrell?
Here.
Ms. Richter?
Here.
Ms. Ramba?
Here.
Mr. Rubino?
Here.
Ms. Stasu?
Here.
Ms. Colbath?
Here.
You have quorum.
The board convened executive session at 6:30 p.m. today to discuss legal, personnel, and other confidential matters. Mr. Rhoda, will you start by giving your superintendent's report?
Thank you, Mrs. Colbath. I'll start with our HIB report. Since our last board meeting, we've had 2 investigations, both were unfounded. The fire and security drills from the month of March, and the bus drills have also been posted for the board to review. And we'd like to recognize some students. First, I'd like to mention that Fort Lee High School senior Maritina Sardis, if you recall her performance during the Black History Month celebration that I shared with all of you online, that was also shared with the State Business Administrators Group, and she was recognized for that performance in their monthly publication that came out. So Maritina is still doing well and getting plenty of recognition for that great job she did. Secondly, we all know the tremendous work that Mrs. Anderson continually does with our middle school art students. And she's here tonight to identify and recognize a few of them. So first, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Baker to introduce Mrs. Anderson.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Nina Anderson, fine arts teacher at the middle school, who is joining us again this evening to share some more accolades our middle school students have earned. So Ms. Anderson, the floor is yours.
Thank you. At our March Board of Education meeting, I gave a presentation on #UsVersusHate, which is the national initiative of Learning for Justice, formerly Teaching Tolerance. In addition to our middle school student artwork being selected as finalists for that initiative, we have 18 middle school students represented in the first ever Nasco virtual art show. Nasco is a leading art supply company, and they invited me to send a sampling of artwork that has been done this year by our middle school students, and 18 pieces are now part of the National Gallery at nasco.com.
Wow.
In addition, 4 students' art and literary pieces have been selected LFCMS to be featured in Voices, the Racial Justice Arts Initiative created by the YWCA. This year, the YWCA will be highlighting 4 of our art and literary pieces at their Racial Justice Awards ceremony, and our 8th grader, Julianne Chen, has been selected to read her poem at the event. And all of the work focuses on the National Stand Against Racism campaign. So a few students, I believe, are present at the Board of Education meeting. Most are signed on virtually, and I would like to recognize all of them for their efforts by reading their names now. Our #UsVersusHate finalists. First, we have a national winner, So-Won Jung, and our finalists are Emily Konstantinova, Angela Lee, Michelle Kim, Eduardo Feliz, Andrea Lee, Joseph Kim, Jacqueline Kim, Dana Kim, Abigail Lee, Ariana Lee, Sharon Lee, and Sophia Hahn. And the 18 students that are part of the Nasco Gallery: Anastasia Lieberman, Gordon Chang, Inso Kang, Jasmine Pujatina, Ji-Hwan Michael Kyung, Sung Hyun Jonathan Choi, Joshua Min, Justin Yu, Olivia Pazinski, Rachel Kim, Rachel Liao, Rebecca Park, Samira Bansali, Samuel Choi, Sarah Young, Sophia Nam, So-Yeon Kim, and Yewon Lee. And the 4 students who will be featured at the YWCA Racial Justice Awards this coming Thursday are Angela Lee, Sharon Chen, Jelaine Alamati, and Julianne Chen. All of the art pieces that these students have done are featured on the district website in the Lewis F. Cole Middle School photo gallery, and many pieces, including the literary piece by Julianne Chen, will be also featured in our annual art and literary publication, Intermedia, this spring. Congratulations to all these students who go above and beyond in their efforts to produce such extraordinary work. These are the students that make me proud to be an educator in Fort Lee. Thank you.
Excellent job.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson, as always, for the work that you do in bringing the best out of our students. You make us proud all the time. And I'd like to also congratulate all those students on this accomplishment. It's great and bringing great recognition to the district. On a somewhat related topic, we've had multiple conversations this year regarding the curriculum and diversity and how we address certain topics in that curriculum. And I'll ask Mrs. Baker to follow up with our presentation that's coming up.
Thank you, Mr. Rhoda. Tonight, I would like to introduce 2 of our instructional supervisors, Dr. Michelle Carler and Miss Monique Kim, who are going to be doing a presentation for us regarding the diversity in our K-12 curriculum.
Thank you. Just give us 1 second to get our presentation up. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. I am Dr. Michelle Carler. I supervise K through 12 world languages and ESL, as well as 7 through 12 English language arts and social studies. My colleague, Miss Monique Kim, will be co-presenting. Miss Kim is the supervisor of K-12 visual and performing arts, as well as K through 6 English language arts and social studies. In tonight's presentation, we will look at the diversity and inclusiveness of our K through 12 curriculum from 3 different perspectives: where we were, where we are, and where we are going. So first, where we were. When we look back at our classroom libraries a few years ago, those classroom libraries were limited in fiction and nonfiction books that represented our student body. A scholastic study found that of all the books published in 2017, only 29% represented diverse characters. For this reason, the ability to diversify classroom libraries was challenging. The Bergen County Curriculum Consortium is an organization that the supervisors belong to. During meetings with our colleagues from across the county, there were professional development sessions where we learned about different publishers who were beginning to catalog diverse titles. From there, the supervisors began to explore selecting and ordering books across grade levels. Additionally, it is important to note the importance of reading beyond the single story of a group. Single stories can create a limiting and stereotypical view of that group's experience in the world. A 2018 study found that books about diverse groups often represent a limited narrative or a single story. In our efforts to diversify our classroom libraries and book titles across grade levels, we want to avoid having single stories of any group in our collections. In our K-6 classrooms, we began to add books that were more diverse in terms of a character's perspective and experiences. In grades 7 through 12, we determined that during the development of our new language arts curriculum, we would embed more diverse titles in the poetry, short stories, novels, plays, speeches, and nonfiction pieces that we read, as well as in the artwork that we view in our classes. This has been an ongoing process that we revisit on a yearly basis. In grades 9 through 12, we use the chart on the right to evaluate and audit the book titles that were in the curriculum. One of the key questions that we asked ourselves and continue to ask ourselves is, how does the content of our curriculum reflect our learners' cultures?
The district was also immersed in an ongoing creation of more diverse, I can see myself in the books I read, libraries. We wanted our students to be able to identify themselves with the characters and the experiences shown in the books that they were reading in order to increase their reading engagement. In addition, the district began the work of incorporating the Amistad and Holocaust curriculum into multiple areas of our curriculum according to the NJDOE mandate. Last but not least, we've added Korean and Chinese language classes to our high school program of studies. As it has been mentioned previously, here's a key question that we continue to ask ourselves as we determine where we are in terms of supporting diversity. How well does our current curriculum work to provide all students and staff with equitable access to an education that embodies the district mission and goals?
As we start to discuss where we currently are in diversifying our curriculum, we want to share this concept of windows and mirrors that we try to adhere to when looking at materials. We want to provide windows for students to see other cultures and ethnicities, and provide mirrors in our curriculum for students to see themselves. For example, a mirror is a story that reflects your own culture and community and helps you build your identity, where a window is a resource that offers you a view into someone else's experience and creates a better understanding of the world. Additionally, throughout this presentation, you will see images of books. All of the books that are pictures we purchased. These are just a snapshot of the titles that we currently have available.
This pie chart shows the racial breakdown of our student population. Currently, we are working to identify books for classroom libraries that more accurately reflect our student body, as well as updating some of the ELA curriculum to include more authors and characters from diverse backgrounds. This year, we were able to provide all K-4 teachers with access to digital classroom libraries through the Mayan and Kids platforms. These programs contain some selections of digital texts that represent our student body. We also hold curriculum meetings with departments to discuss the implementation and selection of diverse content. Teachers are meeting to discuss curricular content to ensure that there is diversity, consistency, and rigor in the content that is being taught. Furthermore, we continue to build our capacity in both Korean and Chinese language classes, where cultural experiences are integrated into the lessons. Lastly, we have access to K-12 curriculum toolkits created by the Bergen County Curriculum Consortium. This toolkit provides links to resources for teaching about LGBTQ individuals, persons with disabilities, and diversity. As you can see, currently, we do cover Asian American, African American, Hispanic and Latino American and Native American topics across various grades level in social studies. Here are some highlights of just a few Asian American and African American topics that we cover in our curriculum. Students learn significant historical events such as the westward expansion, World War II, the Harlem Renaissance, and the Civil Rights Movement. Also, it is worth noting how our students in music, art, and theater classes across the district are engaged in creating art that represents cultural experiences from different parts of the world, as well as studying the works of artists from diverse ethnicities and backgrounds. The list of the artists and the notable figures that we study in our visual performing arts program was so extensive that we couldn't fit them all on this chart. However, here are a few samples of the diverse cultures and artists that are represented in our VPA courses. For example, in art, the students emulate the styles of Julie Chen, a Chinese American book artist. In music, students get inspirations from Juan Luis Guerra, a Dominican artist. And in theater classes, they incorporate plays and monologues from various countries, ethnicities, and cultures, just to name a few. After examining where we were and where we are, we would like to move forward to where we are going in terms of our diversity work by asking another key question. How does the content of our curriculum reflect our learners' cultures? Our curriculum department believes that the work of diversity and inclusion is well underway, and we've made a lot of progress. However, we also see that more work needs to be done. As such, here are some of our plans for promoting more diversity in our curriculum. First, as we move forward, we will continue to meet as a curriculum department to review materials to see if anything additional needs to be purchased to support the work that we have done to diversify our curriculum. We'll also continue to look at data and collect feedback from our teachers and students. In addition, we'll carry on with our discussion at the department and grade level meetings to further improve the curriculum. For example, we'll examine how we can incorporate more Asian and Latino experiences across content areas in grades K through 12. Furthermore, we'll continue the book audit process for English language arts that has already started.
Moving forward, we continue to implement the LGBTQ and people with disabilities inclusive curriculum, the Amistad curriculum, and the Holocaust curriculum. We will also continue our ongoing textbook and curriculum review. We will start the research process on the development of a gender or ethnic studies course in the history department at the high school. We will continue to research how to make our K through 12 curriculum more culturally responsive. Finally, we will highlight areas of diversity and inclusion throughout our curriculum documents. We are researching various tools that can be used to evaluate the representation and diversity across different categories, such as characters, cultures, authors, and perspectives. A part of this research involves ensuring that sources of content are accurate and authentic, including multiple perspectives that originate from diverse authors and creators. In closing, the curriculum department would like to add that in the Fort Lee Public Schools, we recognize that diversity matters. The topics we teach, the literature we read, and the conversations we have matter. Each year, as we continue to grow and learn, we make changes to what we teach and how it is taught. We will continue to embrace diversity and celebrate all of our students in all of our classrooms. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to our presentation from where we were to where we are going.
Thank you, Dr. Carler and Mrs. Kim. Are there any questions from any of the board members regarding the information that was presented? The information will be posted on the website along with our entire curriculum, which is already on the website. So if anyone's interested, they can not only see this presentation, which deals with just some of the specifics, but they could also take a look through our curriculum documents that are there and see how these topics are developed over all of areas of study, over all the different grade levels. Mrs. Baker, could you share just a minute about some of the work that's going on with the Montclair State University Network of Education and Renewal?
Absolutely. So our curriculum, our equity audit, is actually underway. All of the documentation that has been requested has been provided. And we have just met with members from both organizations to discuss moving forward with our equity team to establish a plan of action with our goals. And we are really looking forward to the work that we're going to be doing with them, as well as planning a full professional development day in the fall for next year to talk about various topics in equity, such as culturally responsive teaching, such as diversifying our curriculum, and other topics.
Thank you, Mrs. Baker. As we move through this process also, we'll be looking for opportunities to engage the stakeholders in the district, not just the administrators and teachers, but also some parents and obviously students as well, to talk about these topics and really develop them. So this is a process that will be ongoing for probably, I would say, the next 2 years as we move forward on this and continue to make progress. So thanks again, Dr. Carl and Mrs. Kim, for your time. We appreciate you being here. And now to change gears slightly, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Taylor for our public budget hearing.
Thank you, Ken. As you all are aware, the budget was preliminarily approved and submitted to the county. The county has approved that budget. We are submitting on tonight's agenda that preliminary budget for final approval. It can be found item 8F. As a reminder, we will be withdrawing from capital reserves in the amount of $3.1 million. The itemized list of projects can be seen on page 9. The total base budget is $85,307,468, and that is made up of a $78,450,634 general fund budget, a $2,642,468 special revenue budget, and finally a $4,214,366 debt service budget amount. Are there any questions from board members as it relates to our final budget for 2021-2022? Hearing none, I will
I
now.
have a question, Hakisha, sorry, excuse me. So the capital reserve projects that are listed on 8F, are those the same ones that were listed the first time that we saw it?
Yes.
So that will bring the school number 1 and school number 3 not completely
right,
but
very close to fully cooled and heated.
Okay, thank you.
As a follow-up to Ms. Byers-Kang's question, there are no changes from the preliminary approval. So this is the exact budget that was approved in March, I believe. Thank you, Ms. Byers-Kang. Are there other questions from board members on the 2021-2022 budget? Hearing none, I will now open it up or ask for a motion to open it up to the public for questions on the final adoption of the 2021-2022 budget. Is there a motion?
Motion, Colbeth.
Okay, motion Colbeth, seconded by Rapa, I believe.
Anybody? Thank you all set.
Thank you. Are there questions from the public on the final adoption? Please raise your hand if there are questions. And at this time, we are taking questions only on the final adoption of the 2021-2022 budget. There will be an additional public comment session as always. If the public has any questions on the following year budget, please raise your hand. Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public?
Motion Colbeth.
Richter.
Okay, motion Colbeth, seconded by Holly Morell. Okay, seconded by Richter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rhoda. There are no other comments or questions as it relates to the preliminary budget. Again, I'm sorry, the final adoption of the budget. Again, it is item 8F on tonight's agenda.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Taylor, and thanks for your efforts in preparing the budget. That's all I have, Mrs. Colbeth.
Nothing else?
No.
Thank you so much for that comprehensive report tonight. Do we have any committee reports? Okay. Do board members have questions or comments on tonight's agenda or any other topic?
I have a question or a comment. It's to Mr. Rhoda. The high school final exams were the administrator, can you tell us about those?
Yes, we discussed it last week, and the high school, when I met with high school administration, and there will not be final exams for the high school students this year.
Thank you, Mr. Rhoda.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Can I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion Morel. Second Ramba.
Okay, motion Morel, second by Ramba. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So we don't have any members of the public here physically present tonight. So we'll take questions and comments from those participating remotely. Please select the participants from the bottom center of your Zoom screen. From there, select the raised hand button from the bottom right-hand corner of the Zoom screen. Our board secretary, Hakisha Taylor, will recognize each community member in the order of the raised hands by lowering the hand and unmuting the microphone if you're muted. Please then state your name and home address for the record and begin your comments. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. And Hakisha, are there any members of the public? I do see a raised hand. I thought I saw a raised hand.
Yes, David Sarnoff, I'm promoting you to panelists. Please feel free to share your video. Please share a comment, state your name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Mr. Sarnoff.
Thank you so much, Ms. Taylor. Good evening. David Sarnoff, 5 Horizon Road. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the last meeting where the board accepted the resignation of Mr. Rhoda. And so I would like to take this time to acknowledge and recognize Ken's contribution to the district. He came in under incredibly difficult circumstances with a host of projects that a prior superintendent passed and prepared, and Ken came in and had to implement a one-to-one Chromebook initiative with thousands of Chromebooks stored in the schools. He also assumed the supervision of tens of millions of dollars of construction projects that I know kept him up quite late at night on many a night. Ken, in my opinion, was a transformational leader of Fort Lee School District. He helped get the district to an incredibly positive place. He created calmness, he created continuity and stability. And I think in the last 25 years, he's probably the longest serving superintendent in the district. I never heard him raise his voice, although he probably would have been justified in doing so at times. I remember going to Paramus when we first thought that we had an opportunity to bring Ken. I recalled this story where we had lunch and I said, Ken, if you come to Fort Lee, we're never going to tell you who to hire. We're never going to tell you how to do your job. And he said, Dave, I'm friendly, but I'm not your friend. And I said, that's exactly what Fort Lee needs right now. Although at this time, almost 6 years later, I do consider you a friend, Ken, and I wish you all the best. We got off to a rocky start. There was an unfortunate board meeting that didn't go as expected shortly after you came aboard. We were able to overcome that. And I just think you did an exceptional job. And, you know, the future holds bright things for you, whether you go into consultancy or do the interim superintendent route. You're going to be a service to other districts, and I wish you all the best. And I wish the board good luck and success in finding the next superintendent. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Sarnoff. I don't see any other raised hands.
Amy
Okay, bear with me.
Kotang.
Bear with me, please. Amy, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Amy?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Amy Kotang from school number 3, 435 Westview Place. It's been 4 years, Ken, since I have known you. I came on board as a new parent to the community. I didn't know the ropes. I didn't know what is the right thing to do, but there were things that didn't sit well with me, and I came to you. I came to the board. And you had, I can attest to what Mr. Sarnoff said earlier. You said to me, I am friendly, but I'm not your friend. And you have been more meaningful to me than my friend. You have done your job in listening to parents, and I have seen you morph over the years to be even a better listener than I can ever ask for. You listen to what our needs are, and you come back with some sort of answer or proposal one way or the other. So we thank you for that. I will miss you. My kids are moving on, and so will I. And I feel like both of us are moving to a new chapters in our life, and I wish you all the best. All of us as we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Amy.
So I want to applaud the presentation earlier given by Dr. Collar, is that right?
Mhm.
She's no longer on this meeting, and also Mrs. Kim. As you all know, diversity is something that I hold dearly at School 3 and personally here. We believe that there's still a lot to be done. And to hear the presentation tonight give us some comfort that work is indeed being done. And I just want to add to some consideration or some suggestion as the committee or the stakeholders, the decision makers and districts continue forward with the project. I hear that you are doing a lot to solicit feedback from students, from teachers. One voice that I'm not hearing or is absent from the presentation is the voice of parents. I hope that you would consider to establish a diversity and inclusion committee where parents are included and welcome to join these meetings so that we can be held, so that we can communicate to the progress that are made. So that's number one. Number two, we ask that we challenge that the district to continue to commit to diversity. Representation matters. If 44% of our student body are of Asian descent, our teachers need to represent and mirror that number. And right now we are far from that. And I challenge our districts to continue to do that, especially guidance counselors. I know I can speak from my personal experience. My guidance counselor was a white male who I don't think ever asked me what was like being the daughter of a Chinese American family whose parents worked 16 hours from a Chinese takeout, who did not get any help in her college application process, who need to figure out the difference between applying to a community college versus a state college versus a private college. I wish there are more of those who look like me when I was in high school. And I would request and make a plea to all of you to consider doing better in that area. Diversity training is number 3. Diversity training is an important part of teaching our staff and our teachers to have sensitivity and understanding of the students that they serve. So we ask that you would continue to look into training programs for our teachers, for our staff. And lastly, an equity audit that will make available to parents and to allow us to understand the progress that are being made, the trends that are happening in the country. Are we moving in lockstep, or are we behind in these in this important area of learning? I thank you for your time. And that's all I have tonight.
Amy, just so you know, I'm not sure if you didn't hear the early part of the meeting. We are working with Montclair State University's Network of Education and Renewal. They are in the process of conducting an equity audit right now. They will be conducting a series of training, and we have a day devoted already in the fall for a full day of faculty training on diversity, as well as the ongoing training we're doing now with our own diversity committee in the district. So we are addressing some of these things. And I can assure you that when we get to that point where we're ready, that parents will be included as stakeholders in the process and in the discussion. So thanks for your comments.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank
Is
you.
there any other raised hands?
I see none.
Okay. May I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Oh, second.
Motion Rubino, second by Ramba. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so let's move on to the resolutions. May I have a motion to approve items 1B through 4B?
Motion Morel. Second Ramba.
Motion Morel, second Ramba. Roll call, please.
Ms. Byers King,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino, Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Ms. Cho,
Yes.
Ms. Han Silver,
Yes.
Ms. Ramba,
Yes.
Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Ms. Stasu,
Yes.
Ms. Colbath.
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve items 1 CUR and 2 CUR?
Motion Ramba.
Motion Ramba, second Rubino. Roll call, please.
Ms. Stasu,
Yes.
Ms. Han Silver,
Yes.
Ms. Byers King,
Yes.
Ms. Ramba,
Yes.
Ms. Cho,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino, Ms. Colbath.
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve items 1F through 8F?
Motion Richter.
Second Ramba.
Motion Richter, second Ramba. Roll call, please.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Ms. Cho,
Yes.
Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Ms. Ramba,
Yes.
Ms. Stasu,
Yes.
Ms. Byers King,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino, Ms. Han Silver.
Yes. I just want to make a comment. I know I think I probably said this the first time you brought the budget up to us, but I just want to commend Ms. Taylor, Mr. Rhoda, everyone who worked on this budget. I think in all the years, this is the first time we haven't gone above cap and had such a rich budget. I don't know if rich is the right word, but had a budget that had so much in it in terms of capital projects. We are expanding our one-to-one Chromebook initiative. There's a lot in this budget, and the fact that we're doing this without even going above our 2% cap is fantastic. So I just want to commend everyone who worked on this and toiled with those numbers and spreadsheets. So thank you. But yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Han Silver. Ms. Colbath.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve items 1P through 4P?
Motion Morel.
Second Richter.
Ramba.
Motion Morel, second Richter. Roll call, please.
Ms. Cho,
Yes.
Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Ms. Byers King,
Yes.
Ms. Han Silver,
Yes.
Ms. Ramba,
Yes.
Ms. Stasu,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Ms. Colbath.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Does anyone have any old business to discuss? Does anyone, let me just look on the screen. Does anyone have any new business to discuss? Okay.
Miss-
Correct.
On my agenda, I have items 5 through 7P as well.
I was going to say that.
Thought it was me.
Oh, okay.
Motion Morel. Second Rambo.
Ms. Cho?
Yes, but I don't think anybody else could hear you if we weren't in the space. So, just if you want to clarify, Paula, if you can unmute and then.
Sure, no problem. I asked for a motion to approve items 5P through 7P. We have 7 personnel items on tonight's agenda, and I initially asked for a motion for items 1P through 4P. Couldn't read my own handwriting. So we have a motion on the floor to approve items 5P through 7P.
Motion was made by Ms. Morel, seconded by Ms. Richter. Is that right?
Correct.
Roll call, Ms. Cho,
Yeah.
Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Ms. Byers Kang,
Yes.
Ms. Han Silver,
Yes.
Ms. Ramba,
Yes.
Ms. Stasu,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Ms. Colbath.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we'll go back. Did anyone have any old business this time? Does anyone have any new business? So
I have
before,
a question. I'm sorry,
Yes.
Mr. Rhoda. Mr. Rhoda, I didn't get to see what Mr. Murphy announced today as far as gatherings. Did he increase the gatherings for outdoor gatherings or?
He did. The part that I read, the governor has increased outdoor gatherings to 500, exclusive of, if it's a graduation, exclusive of staff that might be there. So that will cause the principals to go back and start reworking our plans that we've already made. And he also increased the gathering for indoor events to 250 maximum, depending on the capacity of the place, if they're indoors. He also approved the concept of dancing if there's a prom. However, dancing would have to be with a mask and maintaining social distancing. So once again, I know that the high school administrators and the rest of the administrators will be revising their plans and going back based on what he said. So that's the nuts of it so far, and subject to change, I'm sure.
Thank you so much for that wonderful news.
so the board is going to convene back into executive session, and no formal vote or action will be taken. Do I have to say approximately how long we'll be in executive or no? Yeah, and I don't anticipate that we'll be in executive longer than 30 minutes, and likely half of that. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion Morel, second Richter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Question, are we going back with our original link?
So I think the easiest thing, I think we plan to go upstairs in the room that we use for private. I spoke to Ken before we commenced the public session, and we will call you. 3 of us will call the 3 of you like we've previously done.
Okay.
So have your cell phones handy.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Good night.